rise of the inactive workforce, a growing crisis in America. 4 years ago, the United States experienced its most dramatic spike in unemployment on record, driven by the global pandemic. Today, while those events may feel like distant history, the consequences linger. Over 10 million Americans, predominantly men, are not working, studying, retired, or institutionalized. They are doing nothing. COVID-19 accelerated a trend that has quietly been growing for decades. Since the 1960s, roughly 0.1% of American men have left the workforce each month, never to return. But why are so many men giving up on work? And, more intriguingly, how are they managing to survive without a job in an increasingly demanding economy? A new class of workforce dropouts. There are various reasons people opt out of the labor force. Some retire, others pursue education, while others may be sick, serve in the military, or live off savings without the need to work. However, there's a new group growing alongside these traditional categories. People, particularly men between the ages of 25 and 55, who have simply given up. This age range typically represents the prime of a man's career, but more and more are choosing not to work at all. Some of this can be explained by the rise in women entering the workforce. Until 2008, women were joining the workforce nearly as fast as men were leaving it. In many cases, men have taken on domestic roles, becoming stay-at-home partners while their spouses build careers. In fact, research shows that in most major American cities, young women are now out-earning young men. Women are also graduating from college at higher rates than men, creating a shifting dynamic in traditional gender roles. But this shift only explains part of the story. Stay-at-home parents, regardless of gender, are a luxury most people cannot afford. The rapid rise of young men opting out of the labor force suggests that something more profound is happening. The devaluation of low-skill labor. Nicholas Eberstadt, a political economist, explored this growing phenomenon in his book Men Without Work. He tracked how men of working age have been increasingly stepping away from jobs, and often from society itself. His findings align with a 2022 study by the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, which revealed that men without a college degree are dropping out of the workforce at alarming rates. Their earning potential is significantly lower than their college-educated counterparts, leading many to abandon work altogether. What's particularly surprising is that lower-income men are more likely to drop out of the workforce than their higher-earning peers. You might think wealthier individuals would have the means to retire early, but the reality is the opposite. Those with less income are often the ones who leave the workforce because they have less to lose and more to gain. For many men, especially those without a college degree, low-skilled jobs no longer provide a path to a comfortable lifestyle. The dilemma of modern work. Imagine this scenario. You could work several minimum-wage jobs, spending your days on your feet, dealing with managers, and serving customers. At the end of the day, you'd have little energy or time for personal projects, and the job itself might not be something you're proud of. Or you could scrape by on government support, rely on family or friends, and spend your time pursuing personal interests or low-cost entertainment. For a growing number of men, the second option seems far more appealing. Many of them would prefer to tell others they are working on a new business or taking some time off rather than admitting they hold a low-status job. Regardless of how you feel about this issue, it's one that affects everyone. The millions of people who are out of work at a time when industries face worker shortages create a dilemma for the economy, and this trend will only worsen unless something changes. But how are these men surviving without work? The answer lies in a mix of government benefits, family support, and a growing reliance on the underground economy. Eberstadt's research reveals that these men are not living luxurious lives. In fact, many live extremely basic existences, spending the bulk of their time behind screens, whether it's playing video games or consuming media. While some argue that these men are simply stay-at-home spouses, contributing to household duties, the reality is far less flattering. According to national surveys, these labor force dropouts contribute very little to household care, civic activities, or even volunteering. Instead, their days are filled with leisure and sleep. The hidden costs of dropping out. Interestingly, most men who have dropped out of the labor force are single and childless. Eberstadt theorizes two key reasons for this. First, dating, marriage, and family life are expensive, and those without a job cannot afford these commitments. Second, men with families are generally more motivated to work, even if that means taking on unglamorous jobs. But even without the traditional responsibilities of family life, survival in today's world is expensive. Government benefits typically extend only to those actively seeking work or those with disabilities. And qualifying for disability payments, while easier than before, still requires individuals to prove they cannot work. Many of these men are likely working off the books, contributing to the underground economy, which is estimated to represent 12% of the US GDP. These informal jobs, ranging from gig work to outright illegal activities, provide just enough to scrape by without having to engage in the formal labor market. A crisis of identity and opportunity. At the heart of this issue is a crisis of identity. As more people tie their self-worth to their career and income, accepting low-paying, unskilled jobs becomes increasingly difficult. Yet millions of people are out of work, while millions of jobs remain unfilled due to a perceived skills shortage. The rapid pace of technological change, the erosion of stable job opportunities, and broader social issues such as the opioid crisis have only exacerbated this trend. For many, the effort required to attain a prestigious job feels insurmountable, while low-paying jobs offer little more than a subsistence-level existence. This crisis is particularly pronounced among younger men, many of whom feel disillusioned by a system that promises success but delivers only frustration. As they drop out of the workforce, they find themselves caught in a cycle of stagnation, with few paths toward upward mobility. What lies ahead? There is no single answer to why so many men are opting out of work, but the consequences are clear. As the labor force shrinks, the economy faces new challenges. The myth of the skills shortage has been used to justify outsourcing, automation, and the degradation of once stable career paths, leaving millions of Americans feeling lost. The traditional career ladder, once seen as a guarantee of stability, no longer exists for many workers. The rise and fall of the tech bro epitomizes this reality, showing that even the most talented workers can find themselves out of work through no fault of their own. In a world where hard work no longer guarantees a secure future, many are left questioning whether the system is even worth participating in. Conclusion: a new social contract. America is at a crossroads. Millions of people, particularly men, are choosing to opt out of the labor force, leaving the country facing a worker shortage in critical industries. The reasons for this are complex, ranging from economic pressures to societal shifts in how we define success. Addressing this issue requires more than just focusing on job creation. It involves rethinking how we value work, ensuring that low-skilled jobs offer a path to upward mobility, and providing support to those who feel disconnected from society. If nothing changes, the consequences of this workforce dropout trend will only grow, leaving society struggling to fill essential roles while millions remain on the sidelines. Only by addressing the root causes of this issue can we hope to bring these men back into the fold and ensure a more prosperous future for all.